Good. So 7:01, calling the meeting to order. It's Thursday, July 13th, 2023. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Perez. Gonzalez.
Here.
Hussein.
Here.
Jost. Masajek. Here. Volunteer here. Kuzo.
Here.
Next, public comments, agenda items only, it's just us here. So next, I'll make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from June 8th, 2023. I'll second. Any questions, corrections, comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes from June 8th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, President's report. I don't think I have anything. So we'll go on to committee reports. So up first is finance.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports for June 2023. Check register, any questions?
Out of curiosity, 7540 rails, what do we get for that $11,000? Seems like a lot of money, so I'm curious.
Which one? Where
The rails?
7540.
Oh, I see.
Towards the beginning of the register. Big Rails is our, is that Illinois Library Association,
Yeah,
right?
I know, but that's what I said to myself
Rails is the
when I first saw it,
system.
but then.
Is that annual?
I believe, is the payment to Overdrive? It must be.
I think it is.
There's like an annual fee. For Overdrive, it's not $11,000 though.
How are Overdrive and Rails connected?
Overdrive and Rails are not connected. So
Usually
so
says
Rails.
Overdrive on here. Overdrive is
So
separate.
it is separate. So there's a couple things. It's possible, we'll have to look and we can do that and send that to you guys, for sure. It is a valid expense. My guess is that there's a couple of big, payments that got lumped into one check on Rails. And so since you're not seeing the memo, the
Okay.
check notes, you're not seeing that. So Rails is the system, so we're part of the Rails system. There are 3 systems in the state of Illinois: the Chicago Public Library System, Rails, which is the northern half of the state, and then the Illinois Heartland Library System, which is in the southern half of the state, central Illinois down. So we are billed, so Rails handles billing for a couple of different third-party services that we provide. Overdrive is one of them. We bill through Rails. There's a couple of other big databases that are once a year that we pay through Rails because they're either, subsidized databases, or in the case of like the Overdrive stuff for like the digital library, that I'm the chair of that whole big statewide consortium. Because we don't have any paid staff, we have an agreement with Rails that they handle all of our billing. So my guess is that 11, because there isn't one thing we pay to Rails that's $11,000. So it's a couple of different expenses that are similar to that. One of them is probably the Overdrive one, which is about $5,000, and then there's a couple of other ones that are in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. So tomorrow, Suzanne, if we can look that up, and we can send that information to the board and list out then for you what is encompassed in that check, so. But Rails has agreed to do billing.
I just don't remember who.
The separate ones, because all you're seeing
Yeah.
is the one check to them,
Sure.
but in the notes field, it does spell it out, all the different invoices that we're doing with that. So we'll get that information to you since we don't have it right off we got this built through Rails is for Brainfuse, which is the homework help database. That is a one-time thing. I do think it's fairly recent, so that it's possible that it could be for that, but again, it would be a similar thing. But I didn't think Brainfuse we paid through Rails, but you know, we see so many bills, I could be misremembering. But we will get that
I
information.
see them in my mind. I just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
It is for one of the database, or it's for one of, or at least a couple of the database type services we provide. Any other questions on anything else for the check register that we cannot remember?
On the income statement, or is there any questions?
That's it. Anything else? Okay, we'll vote on the June financial reports. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Mason, yes. Pelletier, yes. Puzo?
Yes.
Okay. Next, facilities, well, there's some coverage of that, and some of these important dates that Pam had outlined for us, and some updates in her report as well, for kind of the latest with facilities. Policy, was there a meeting?
No.
No, okay, there was not, all right, so maybe next one. Okay, so staff reports, is there anything you wanted to add or highlight?
Don't think so, unless anyone has any questions. I mean, a couple of things I'm gonna talk about later on,
Yeah.
or like under the strategic plan and stuff. Just to kind of piggyback on what you mentioned about facilities, we did have a pre-construction meeting today with Jason, and then all of the representatives from the trades will be involved, except for the glaziers, the window people, which is fine. Jason's been talking to them, so, and Jason is here, so. Things will start pretty much right away after summer reading ends, so on August 1st, we'll start pulling, they'll board up the windows and put the scaffolding in over the patio and stuff, so that will happen that very first week in August, so or the week of July 31st, but not till August 1st, because summer reading doesn't end until the 31st, and Ed is on vacation and isn't back until the 1st, so that just, it made it easier just to start directly on the 1st. So, you know, I've picked some paint colors for the trim and different things like that, so it shouldn't be anything too dramatic. They run out the brick, so as they replace brick and that kind of thing, so all that stuff is, here it is, actually. Here's all of the paint colors. These are grout colors, so we had to pick some of them caulk colors, so, or mortar colors, not grout. So, these are the colors that we'll be using. This is just for the safety things. So, the
okay.
yellow, like the,
that's yellow.
don't hit the building kind of things, you know, that sort of thing, like, you know, the yellow concrete pillars and
Yeah.
stuff, so. So the white is the trim, and this actually matches the door trim, the metal on the current doors we have. So all of the wooden areas will be obviously scraped down, repaired, repainted, except the shutters will come down, but we're not doing anything with those, we're just throwing them out. If we decide that we like that look of the building, I think I've mentioned this before, that the board will need to purchase that. We'll need to decide how we want to proceed. So this will be everything but the shutters, that once it's all repaired and stuff. And as you walk around the outside of the building, there's a lot of places that need to be repaired. so it looks so nice when it's done. This color is, it matches a tone, one of the tones in the brick, and it will be, these two doors, when they're replaced, that will be painted these colors, or those will be painted this color. There's, around different corners of the building, there's metal that's been attached to the corners, I think just to prevent erosion or people hitting that side of the building, because they're mostly on the side that people drive. And so those will be painted that color. The main garage door, the big one, will be painted this color as well. And then there's some piping that runs along the back of the building that will be painted this color as well. So that's all stuff that we want to kind of blend in with the brick. This is the color that will paint the 4 people doors along the back of the building. So there's 2 emergency doors. There's a door in the garage that when we go out to like change the book drop or empty the book drop, and then the staff entrance doors. So this is it's pretty close to the standard color that comes, so it shouldn't be a big surprise, but there's 2 emergency doors that are in the lower level that will paint that. And then this is just black, obviously, which will be, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure you have probably, there's on a couple of the, I'm not sure what the architectural term is, there's some reliefs that are on the front of the building. Right now, they're just painted over white. I think at one time they were a different color, so we're gonna paint those black.
We're not replacing them, we're just painting.
We're not replacing them, we're just gonna paint, they're gonna paint around them, they're not gonna pull them off or anything
So they'll
like
stand
that.
out more.
They'll stand
Yeah,
out.
yeah, because right now they're just painted over white, so I decided that they're up there and they're pretty, so we may as well try and highlight them if we can. And then, obviously, the Morton Grove Public Library letters, they'll touch up with these as well. So that's that, and then these are just the grout colors that we picked to go with some different things. So, there'll be some more detailed mock-ups of some different things as we get closer to that. So like, when Jason was out today, we also looked at, because of the windows being replaced, the shades that we have will not work with them. And so if we do want to get new shades, we'll have to replace them. So we talked about shade colors and potentially, how it would be, how they would be configured and that kind of thing. So, he's going to get me some actual samples of things, but I looked at some colors, we need some choices like that. So everything seems to be moving right along. Again, I just cannot say enough great things about SMC and Jason and how helpful they really are throughout this process. It really has made it so much easier. I think you guys saw this last time, but this is just the site utilization plan, kind of shows where the different fencing stuff will be. But again, particularly with the trades out here, we did emphasize a lot about, making sure there's one entrance that was kept open, as much lead time on different things as they can give us, understanding that, it is going to be moving pretty quickly, particularly like some of the checkpointing and that kind of stuff. And then, just walk through and everything. So, yeah, so we're right on schedule to start, weather permitting. The downside of this type of work, right, when we did the interior renovation, it was fine, we didn't have to worry about weather, but, so we're, keeping our fingers and toes crossed. It doesn't rain constantly like it has been, when we get started. But I think that, I know I have indicated that construction could take, through October, potentially into November, but they're really hoping to be done by the end of September. But I'm telling everyone October, just, I'd rather not create an expectation and then not meet it, particularly because we are weather dependent for so much of what's gonna happen. And then, but I feel, I'm really excited to get started. I think it's gonna make a huge difference to the experience.
Well, good, and I'm glad that, the stress level is reduced working with Jason again.
It's, as always, but, it's just super helpful.
Yeah.
to have that expertise here, and, we trust them and all that kind of thing, so.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's probably the biggest updates is we have the pre-construction meeting that went well, and everything's right on track to start in Oxford. But yeah, I didn't have anything else to add to my written report unless anyone else has any other questions.
I thought this MFA was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
So I'm sure you guys do it. It's like, do you want us to send you the code to your phone or your email, whatever, right? That kind of thing. So when we renewed our cyber insurance just in May, I think it was, we had pretty robust cyber insurance for relatively inexpensive, and to get the same level of coverage with nothing else changed, probably at least tripled in cost, because there's been a lot of breaches and that kind of thing, and you know, just whatever. And so the insurance company first told me, the insurance company told me that we could get the same level of coverage for about the same that we were paying if we institute multi-factor authentication. Every year I have to fill out this worksheet for the cyber insurance. They ask all these technical questions about what we do and don't do. You know, basically they want to make it so that it's more difficult for people to, you know, hack into our system and those kinds of things. So that's part of the reason that I'm doing it, and it's more secure and stuff. And there have been recently, within the last 6 months, there have been a few libraries in the northern Illinois area that have been hacked. Some that have, you know, had good backups and everything, which we do. So God forbid anything should happen to us, we are in a good position to, you know, to recover our data. There have been a couple libraries that did not have good backups and stuff, and literally it's going to take them years to rebuild things. So it just makes a lot of sense. The other thing that's happening is Microsoft is kind of pushing out multi-factor authentication to everyone anyway. So we would have to start doing it anyway. So SMC, OSG is gonna, we have an actual time set aside that if Microsoft didn't push it through to us beforehand, they're gonna work with us at the beginning of August just to get it, make sure that we understand the implications. It's not really that big of a deal for employees that have like their own workstations and that kind of thing. The places that I want to make sure that I understand all the implications are like for the, so for example, like the circulation desk, places where they share either a login, not even so much a computer, because like right now, at least in the adult services department, whenever they go to, you know, if they're on the public service desk, they log in as themselves. Okay. YS does something a little bit different, so I want to make sure I understand all the implications for those shared logins or shared workspaces. So, so OSG will be helping us out with that as well. But and then once that happens and it's fully implemented, I can let the insurance company know, and we can bump up our insurance again and not have to pay that. So for this year, I kept. What I did was because I hadn't budgeted for a huge increase like that with the insurance, I said, well, let's take the lesser coverage, knowing that I was going to implement this. And then they said, as soon as that's done, they can you know, adjust that insurance coverage for us. So that's the background of that.
And to extend our welcome to Katie and Kayla, so hopefully they're.
Yes, I think they'll be really good. So.
I was curious how that ALA, that trauma-informed.
It was, so Courtney and I actually both took it, and it was disappointing because it wasn't really what we thought it was going to
Okay.
be. So it was. Courtney was thinking it was going to be more focused on how you recognize and assist patrons more so than staff. But also staff to some extent, but you know, how you can recognize if someone's going through trauma and how to assist them and that kind of thing. So this was really just focused on staff, and it was more of an overview. There was 2 sessions. The second one was more helpful, and there's a workbook and stuff that they had that was associated with this. So that was really helpful, and some other resources that, you know, I'm taking a look at. But in general, it wasn't as helpful as we had wanted. But you know, the thinking too is that it's a really stressful time right now to be and for a lot of reasons. So it's.
That's what I was hoping, maybe you guys were getting something out of it.
Yeah, it was,
Sorry.
and that was really what we were hoping for, and it was kind of disappointing. So, you know, sometimes, you know, as with a lot of these things, especially now that I've been doing this for what seems like forever and ever, you know, some of these I can either do myself in my sleep or whatever, but you know, it's always helpful to hear that information again, or even if, you know, you're just gleaning 1 or 2 things from it. That's how I try to look at it. If it's something that's kind of disappointing, it's like, well, did I get at least 1 or 2 things that I should potentially use? So, so there were a couple of things, but it was not quite what we were expecting. So. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Pam? All right, so unfinished business, just chatting a little bit about strategic plan updates and important date reminders. We did include some highlights for the next few months, so hopefully that's helpful bullet points for everybody.
So I figured it, especially because we have a lot going on,
Yeah.
I'll try to do this for the next few months, just so it gives everyone an idea of what's coming. So I know as we get further out, there may be other things, but, you know, the things that are at least on my radar for right now, that may affect your guys' schedule. Obviously, the big ones are gonna be, Amanda will be here on August 10th, and that will be during the regular board meeting. I know that hopefully at least one person won't be here, but, you know, obviously it's important if as many people as board members as possible can be here. The other thing is that I know the board approved the library closing for staff training on Friday, November 3rd, and part of that will be, Amanda will be here with, you know, a meeting with staff for the strategic plan stuff, but she's also wanting to do a board retreat on that Saturday, which is November 4th.
Okay.
So that's the date that we have chosen now because Amanda has to travel, not a huge amount, but she lives down in either Champaign or Urbana, or Twin Cities, obviously, but, so I can't remember exactly which one. So that's why she's tried to group these things together. So if there is an issue with the date for the board retreat, that's a Saturday morning, is what she would normally be thinking. It probably would be about 3 to 4 hours. You know, if people could let me know, so that I can discuss with her what other potential days we could do something like that. But so those are the biggies, and then just to give the board a reminder about the budget readings and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I would also just add on that our next decennial meeting is scheduled for October.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
At the regular board.
Yeah, it will
Before
be
and after.
right before the board
Right
meeting.
before.
Thank you, and I will add that to the next. I can send it.
Thank you, but no, I think this is great to kind of like
Yeah.
continuously review too, so.
Yeah, I meant to put that on there. I was trying to remember everything, and I knew
No
there was-
worries,
Yeah,
no, it's a lot, so, if everyone can kind of, take a perusal through your calendars, I know everyone's busy, so, but specifically some of those dates that Pam just mentioned.
The decennial committee
Decennial.
meeting will also be on October 12th. I think we agreed at the last one that it would just be, again, right before the regular meeting, since that was already an evening,
For
Thursday
whatever
night.
reason,
So-
on my calendar, I have it saying at 6:15.
Yeah.
Is that what we decided?
Yes, yeah.
And then the August meeting, I'll be up, but maybe a few minutes late. Well, you might too, are you going to the freshman orientation?
I am going to the freshman orientation.
So Amanda will be here all day on August 10th, because she's meeting with small groups of the staff throughout the day.
Yeah.
So, so she's here, so, you know, even if we got started a few minutes.
Okay.
They,
I'm
the
hoping
meeting,
like
if you guys
7:10, you know.
But yeah, I don't think it would be that, yeah, that's what I was saying, like, I'm thinking 7:15, yeah, 7:10.
We're just usually punctual, so I just don't care.
Yeah.
So I mean, what we could do is we could actually choose to start the August meeting later, like at 7:15, if you want. I mean,
Why don't we give you a buffer at 7:30? Or is that
I mean, it's
pushing too
just
late?
enough.
so I don't, I have no issue with that. I mean, I'll do whatever the board wants me to do and stuff. My only concern about starting the meeting at 7:30 is there is normal library business that has to be done. And if Amanda meets with you anywhere, probably upwards, it shouldn't go longer than 90 minutes, but it could. And so that, I just don't want to have it,
We did the close.
make it too late for you guys and that kind of
I
thing.
mean, we're only coming from Now's West, so I don't, you know, it's not like we have a lot, so I mean, I think if we start at 7:15, I think that'd be fine.
Is that
So-
okay with everyone else that's here, starting at 7:15 next month, and then
Okay.
I'll just make sure, and then, yeah, I don't anticipate that there will be a lot of other things on the agenda in August either, but, you know, things come up.
Sure.
But, again, the big things are gonna be more like with the budget and that sort of thing, so I hope that in August, the meeting won't go too long, and that we can spend most of the time working with the strategic plan. So-
Okay, great.
So just a couple other things about the strategic plan, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So, the thing that I put in front of you, the community survey, this is the postcard that is being sent out to all households in Morton Grove. Some of you, if you haven't gotten it, you should get it sometime this week, or if not, it's Morton Grove Post Office, but hopefully within the next few days if you haven't gotten it. I did want to say, it's a really short meeting in all this piece of paper. So I had asked Amanda about statistical significance, and what the phrase that I was really looking for was response rate, not so much statistical significance. But so I was wondering, because we already have, at the time, this was as of Wednesday, we had already received 464 responses to the survey. And that was just from the email, the weekly email being sent out. So Amanda says the response rate, she said, we always strive to get as many responses as possible. So there's approximately 25,000 households, and the population is 25,000, which they always try to get as many responses as possible. Our typical response rate is between 1% to 3% of the community. Just before the postcards went out, we are already at 1.8%. So
Before the postcards.
Before the postcards. So we kind
did it
of
that day, so.
yeah. So
Yeah,
we
I
kind of
did it,
figured
yeah.
that this will be a good. We kind of like the way that we're rolling it out. It's like it's been in the some of the e-newsletter stuff, but then the postcards will hit people that maybe don't get
You also
our
know what
email
works,
stuff.
too,
Yeah.
based on-
So I am looking forward to having some good responses then, and I was really gratified to hear that we're already there, and it's only going to get better. So that
Yeah.
I'm really hopeful that the information that we get will be really meaningful.
Good,
So.
good, good.
Yeah, so I just wanted those two quick updates. So
That's great.
watch for this in your mail. I do have some of these. If you want to take them, you're welcome to take them and hand them out to people if you want. But all households in Morton Grove should be getting them soon.
Good.
So,
They look great too.
Yeah, my kids thought they were so pretty.
yeah, Karina does such a great job.
She really does.
Yeah, the blossoms there. the
Right. I know.
blossoms.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite pictures. We use that a lot with the cherry blossoms. So, that was all I had for the updates, and I'll make sure that the important dates get updated with the decennial committee.
Awesome. Okay. New business, review of closed session minutes and recordings.
Did we have those?
I don't think
I didn't have it in my packet.
I did not.
No, you know what?
I thought maybe they get passed out here.
No, you know what, if you could give me a few minutes, do you want to stop and just put it on
Yeah.
standby so that you can start recording when you guys don't talk? If you could give me just a couple minutes, I will run up and get them. I will say right now, if you were here the last time, you guys all were here the last time, I just wrote up the things as I said before, there's no written minutes to dispose of, just the 4 recordings.
Oh.
Just again, as a reminder, you can't destroy any recordings unless you've got written approved minutes for these meetings, and we do have that, so. I'll give you guys a few minutes.
So we're only destroying the recordings.
Should I list the dates?
Yes.
Or- So I will make a motion to approve the destroying of the recordings for the minutes as listed, September 9th, 2021, October 14th, 2021, November 11th, 2021, December 12th, 2021. You're still right.
Okay. Where are we? Hussein,
Yes.
Masajan,
Yes.
Pelletier, yes, Kuzo? Yes. And Gonzalez?
Yeah.
We'll delete those from the digital recorder.
Destroy.
Right, it used to be a bigger deal, like cassette tape tape or, you know, however you recorded that and stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I imagine Ed going to the boiler,
Right.
Right, yeah.
throwing them in. See you in hell.
Right. Okay, so next board packet delivery for 2024.
So this came up, and Suzanne and I were talking about it, and we would like to suggest that we change the way that the board gets their packets, starting in 2024. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it has implications both for the board to some extent, and then also for my managers. So that's why I pushed it out for, you know, to give people enough time. It's not a huge chunk of time, but it's additional mileage and it's additional time to actually deliver the board packets to everyone's house. I would like to suggest to the board that, and you can think about it, we can continue to talk about it, but just to kind of get a general feeling. There was a recent email discussion going on in the director listserv about how different boards get their information in their packets. And I know we've talked off and on about digital packets and stuff, and I know most people don't want to do that. So what I would like to suggest is that the board packets be available to the board by the Friday before the board meeting, and that they are kept at one of the info desks, like the info beast or whatever, and then we'll just notify you that they're here for you to pick up before the next meeting. So
I don't care, I'm here every week.
Carlotta is here every week.
Any day.
I know Mohammed's here a lot. I know everyone's here a lot and stuff like that, but this would be a change. They have hand delivered the packets for a long, long time here. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, if you thought that was reasonable and what you guys
It's
think about it.
reasonable, but
Yeah.
it's been so nice to have
It is, and I appreciate it. And if the board really wants to continue that, then obviously we will. I mean, we'll do whatever the board wants, but like I said, and to offset that, they would be ready, you know, a few days ahead of time to give people.
So the
time.
Friday before?
They would be
instead of
available
like-
the Friday
Oh.
before. Yeah. So the reason that I, again, would want to push it up.
for you?
It will. I'll just have to tell the department managers. The only thing where it could potentially have implications is depending on when there's been a few times if a meeting has fallen early enough in the month that some of the statistical information or the financials, we just have to make sure that we're getting. But as long as the managers know and like Sikich knows and Bridget knows to help with the, you know, preparation of the financial reports just when they're due, that's fine. So that's why I also push it off in 4 months, because it gives us time to kind of adjust internal procedures to accommodate that if that is something that the board is comfortable with. So.
Are you
As long as you
putting
send
it
that email when they're ready.
online too?
I mean, just say, oh, somebody can't come, you know, couldn't come to pick that stuff up, will it be online? So that
What I
it's
was,
marketed?
what I was just gonna say is I'm fine with it. I think, if I could potentially add another layer, if, let's just say hypothetically, that there is some sort of, in whatever language we wanna say with it, if something circumstance, or I have a sick kid, or I'm sick or something, I just can't get into the library, or something, potentially something like that could be arranged where, you know what, we can get your packet to your house, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think, you know, within reason, we can still
Yeah.
make something like that work, but I think, you know,
Yeah, I mean, you know, exceptions are fine. I mean,
Yeah.
that's no big deal. And, you know, I have all of this information, almost all of this I have it saved digitally anyway. So it's really no trouble for me to, if someone does want it electronically, I mean, I'm already doing I'm doing that for Mark as it is. It's easy for me to do that. I mean, that's exactly what we did during the pandemic, right? I
Yeah.
sent everything to you guys digitally or whatever. Right now, we don't post all of the board packet anywhere online. So we do post like the reports and stuff on the board page on the website, but we do not post the board packets online. If that's something that the board wanted to do, I know when we've talked about it in the past, there hasn't been a lot of interest in going to an all digital format. So anyway, like I said, I was just throwing this out as a possibility. If you guys want to think about it, obviously not everyone's not here tonight. We can talk about it again in August, or at least bring it up again. But I did want to mention that as a possibility, just to give you guys time to think about it and get your general thoughts about it.
I would say we can, you know, add it to the agenda again in August and you know, hopefully we can get Tamara and Mark's,
Yes, so it's,
you know, point of view as well. But I
Yeah.
think right now, I think we're all feeling like we're okay with it, so.
yeah, it would, yeah. It would be, yes, that would be great. If we could do that, I mean, it's fine, it's always, yeah, particularly if we're not gonna go to like, here's the packet posted online and you're responsible for going, and, there's a number of libraries that do that. Either they've got to like, it's all posted online, the board gets either iPads or some other tablet kind of thing, or they just access it on their own, that sort of thing. But I know that the board has enjoyed having the paper copies to review things and stuff, so I felt like this was kind of a good medium thing to kind of eliminate that need for staff to have to drive. Because it's either Ed, sometimes it's Gonka, if they can't do it, then it's me,
Right.
which doesn't seem like a great use of my time to drive around work.
I agree.
No,
No,
drop
no.
off board packets, so.
No.
And not that everyone else's time isn't worthwhile as well, but, my hope is that with the extra days that those will be more amenable to the board, but, please let me know in August and I'll put it on the agenda.
Sounds good.
So that was the only
Yeah.
thing I had.
No, thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. Okay, communications, I don't think we had anything, so that's okay. Karina's awesome staff.
Oh, yeah.
We know, we definitely know.
Which, there's stuff on both sides now too.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
she did this again last month, so.
Questions?
Do you want these back? You destroyed these?
No, since we're not keeping anything, so, and they're not actual copies of the minutes, so you can.
All right, so public comments, non-agenda items, it is still just us, so I have 7:42.